More defections are coming to Colorado via the portal as running back Dylan Edwards, a guy who starred in that wonderful game, big time win they had over TCU, has decided he will move on from the Colorado program. Let's talk about it after the bumper. Stay tuned. What is going on, everybody? What is going on, everybody? Excuse me. My name is JeffLightsYJr. This is the Victory Formation Sports Show right here on JeffLightsYJr. YouTube, Facebook, wherever you get your content. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and notification bell because I upload all the time. Now, Dylan Edwards, Colorado running back, has decided he will move on from Coach Prime and the Buffs after a really good freshman season. Let me go ahead and show you the Hayes Fawcett graphic because I love the work that Hayes Fawcett puts in over there at On 3. It says, breaking, Colorado running back Dylan Edwards plans to enter the transfer portal. Totaled 76 carries for 323 yards and a touchdown, as well as 36 catches for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. So 5 total touchdowns for his true freshman campaign, Dylan Edwards. I think this young man will have a ton of suitors because of his pure speed and athleticism. Not a real big between the tackles type of guy, but as you see his diversity and being able to catch passes for the Buffs last year, making plays out of the backfield, including what I think he had 3 of these touchdowns. 3 of his 5 touchdowns, I want to say, came against TCU. He had a huge game when they beat, at the time, a ranked TCU team to kind of catapult them into the national spotlight on a mainstream on that big noon kickoff at Fox. And so that game had 7 million viewers, and they end up having a 10 million viewer game. They did some big things, but it all kind of hit the launch pad in that TCU game. This is a loss, man. Like, anytime you lose a dynamic offensive weapon like Dylan Edwards, it hurts. Dylan Edwards at one point was committed to Notre Dame, so he has suitors. He played for Coach Prime as a youth, in his youth days, in the back in the prime days in Atlanta or Texas, one of those. I can't remember if it was Atlanta or Texas, but regardless, he is a guy that knows the Sanders family and has decided to move on. Now, part of this is because Colorado has brought in a guy that they expect to be really good from Ohio State. He is going to play. I'll make sure I'm saying his name right because I don't want to say his name wrong. Dallin Hayden. So they're expecting big things out of Dallin Hayden. And that is probably what has contributed to Dylan Edwards hitting the portal. But this isn't just about Dylan Edwards, because Dylan Edwards is the 3rd Colorado running back to hit the portal just this cycle, like this spring cycle. Alton McCaskill hit the portal. He was a guy that they expected to do big things from last year. Didn't really come to fruition, had some decent moments, but then this year they really thought he would be able to hit the ground running. He's decided to hit the portal. Dylan Edwards has decided to hit the portal. And even a guy who only contributed on sparingly, Syveon Wilkerson, has hit the portal. So you're losing 3 backs, and 2 of them you at least knew what you could get from them. And you're bringing in a Dallin Hayden. Now, he's very, very talented. He's coming from Ohio State, so he's talented. This dude can play. He's out of Memphis. He's from Ohio State. He's a dope player. But you're taking a risk because he hasn't been a workhorse. He hasn't been the bell cow type of back. So you don't know exactly, how good he's going to be in those moments as the bell cow running back in a group and at a position group you just weren't good at last year. You couldn't run the ball last year. You were super one-dimensional. You had a bad offensive line that contributed to you not being able to run the ball, because I think you had some talented backs in Edwards and Wilkerson and even McCaskill. So the offensive line is supposed to be improved. You hope that Dallin Hayden, is the guy that can make plays, but you're taking a risk. You're taking a risk that he's not as good as you may think he will be. I think he'll be fine, but that offensive line needs to be improving. You have to be able to run the ball this year, because you can't be one-dimensional and allow teams to just pin their ears back and get after Shedeur each and every single play because you can't run the ball, because you're one-dimensional. And losing, even if you are being able to run the ball and losing a pass threat like Dylan Edwards hurts. This is a guy that's going to have plenty of suitors. I'm sure Notre Dame will get back into the mix. They wanted him out of high school. I'm sure they'll get back in the mix. I think he played high school ball. He finished his high school ball in Kansas. So I'm sure Kansas State and some more of those Big 12 schools are going to get in the mix for Dylan Edwards because he's talented and he's super fast. I think he runs what, a 10-3? It's like a 10-3 in the 100-meter dash. He's a track star. So this guy's going to have suitors. But the exodus that continues to happen in Colorado, it's part of the game. It's part of what happens in college sports. So I'm not going to just be like, oh, man, the sky's falling in Colorado. It's part of the game. It's definitely something that is common, very common within collegiate sports. But what I will say is that Colorado is only a 4-win team. And what I will say is that some of these, portal defections hurt. Can't act like they don't just all hurt. Some of them hurt more than others. Some of them don't hurt at all. But a one like Dylan Edwards hurts. Can't act like it doesn't hurt. It hurts. How will you be able to replace that production? How will you be able to replace whatever production I think he would have had in a year two? Because remember, this is a guy just going into his true sophomore season. That'll matter because you have to be able to run the ball. You cannot be that one-dimensional as you were last year, this year, because if you do, you're setting yourself up for another disappointing season. And that's what you don't want to do. I think Colorado is extremely talented still, even with these defections, and have a easier schedule being in the Big 12 versus the Pac-12. Will they be able to prove that? Especially as some of these defections continue to pile up. And will there be any more major defections? I would consider Dylan Edwards a pretty significant defection. He's probably the biggest one up until this point. I'm not going to act like all the defections are major, but I'd say he's more he's bigger than Cormani because Cormani didn't play as much. He's bigger than like Adam Hopkins. Maybe Cormani is just as big because I think Cormani, if he had his head on right, is going to take, and if he has his head on right, is going to take a big leap that's at South Florida, Memphis, wherever. But we'll see. There's these defections. Some of them, like I said, do matter. Dylan Edwards matters. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Dylan Edwards is leaving Colorado and has entered the transfer portal after the addition of Dallin Hayden from Ohio State. And our kids just running from competition. That's another thing to think about. Leave your comments down below. Once again, my name is Jeff Lightsy Jr. This is the Victor Formation Sports Show right here on Jeff Lightsy Jr. YouTube, Facebook, wherever you get your content. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell, and we will see you next time. Peace.